Well, hi, everybody. Welcome back to another installation of Client Side Chats. And today we do have a very special guest, Ashok Garlapati. If you know who Ashok is, real quick, for those of you that may not know, Ashok is actually talking to us from India. He's about 13 and a half hours ahead of us. So in all fairness, we're recording in the morning. He's at night. So anyway, hi, Ashok. How are you doing?
Good. Namaste. Namaste.
For those of you that don't know, Ashok is an HSE consultant with Kuwait Oil Company. Also, I met Ashok when we were together on CORA, on the Council on Regional Affairs, and Ashok was then the regional vice president for the global region. Many people may not realize that Ashok is actually a fellow of the American Society of Safety Professionals. So truly honored to have you here, Ashok. So thank you very much for making the time.
Thank you, James. Yes, it's my pleasure to be part of this client-side chats. I truly enjoy your weekly client-side chat updates. So I'm glad to be here today.
We do talk about, what success is and what were the issues and how did you achieve success, everything. And you and I have been talking off screen about this. And I like what you've outlined that you want to talk about. So how did it get there? What did you do? How did you achieve that success? Please, Ashok, go ahead.
Thank you, James. Thank you. And I'm glad to be part of this particular event, In fact, if you want me to talk about the success, actually from the day one, my passion statement is think globally and act locally.
Right.
I always believe in that. There are so many good things are happening in the world. Let's bring those things to the local development. So that's my basic, it's my passion statement. If you listen to any speeches in our chapter meetings or even in the office meetings, I always focus on that. Let's bring back the best practices, what's happening around the world to our local benefit.
That's
great. With the same concept, I just, as part of my employment, I moved to Kuwait in the year 2001. The certification is something new to India, actually. We are only focusing on the academic programs, Bachelor of Engineering, Master of Engineering, like that. But when I moved to Kuwait, when I got associated with the ASSP, those days is ASSE, back in 2004, my first PDC, which I attended in Las Vegas, where Skipper Kendrick was the president during those days. And when I interacted with all the professionals, I have seen the respect as well as the recognition for the people who are having the certifications like a CSP, even though we have engineering degrees and other things, but the recognition safety professional gets from those certifications. So when I came back to Kuwait, I was thinking, why not we do something like that in Kuwait? So we started the process in conducting the workshops and making the familiarization of what are the benefits of these certifications, and so many things we did it. So finally, many people were just scaring us, actually, CSP is too difficult, you cannot make it, But I did in 2008, and there is a lot crowd came up, when Ashok has done it, why can't we do it, Then I started mentoring them, actually. And BCSP has got a wonderful program called the mentorship program, mentor-mentee program. So I registered in that, and so many people around the world, they used to contact me for the mentoring process. Now BCSP has got an ambassador program also. I was the first international ambassador with the BCSP. And when Rixio Medina was a BCSP president, he appointed me as a international advisory committee member, because I was doing so much in mentoring, and so many people are getting registered through me. And he took so many ideas and other things. So BCSP established a BCSP ambassador program. Today, I'm one of the ambassadors of the BCSP. But what I want to tell that the certification, I've been mentoring so many professionals, maybe around 250 plus members around the world I would have mentored. And I did a pro bono workshops in India, in Kuwait, as well as in Nigeria, mainly focusing on the certifications and particularly on the BCSP certifications. I'm so much passionate about this, and I have so many virtual groups as well. As the technology is growing, we have a WhatsApp groups here, and there is a BCSP WhatsApp group, and so much clarification, so many things going on. So I truly enjoy. If you ask me, what success you have achieved
Uh-huh.
in my 30 years of career. I truly satisfy myself of mentoring so many professionals who are doing excellent in their careers and making the positive contribution at their workplaces. So I'm so much, satisfied with that success, in fact, of mentoring the budding professionals, I can say,
That
James.
is fantastic. I mean, really what I'm hearing from you is a lot of passion. I mean, that's pretty apparent. But I
Yeah,
love the idea that you're actually living the think global, act local kind of saying that you have. And you do have that as a tagline. I have to admit, I've heard that a lot from you. And you're living that. It's, I love that you recognized, or at least the people that you're
Mhm.
working with in the local area, the chapter, and the safety professionals were hungry for
Yeah,
further development, getting
correct.
credentialed, getting that education. How do we connect with a global community so that we
Yep.
can do exactly what you're talking about, which is bringing those
Certainly, certainly.
practices back? But the
Yeah,
reach that you have, I mean, I knew you had always done things within the chapter in Kuwait, but I did
correct.
not
Yeah,
realize that you had also outreached. I remember when Rixio put you into that position, and which was a
yes,
great thing to do, outreach into Nigeria and the other countries. I remember discussions that we were having about reaching out into South America too. How do we
exactly.
get that
Yes.
on board? So with that, how has that been successful? I know you've remained in contact with all of this, but has that been successful? And would you say success is watching the growth of the professionals that you help to mentor, and what that has also, because it's not just those professionals, it's the professionals around them as well. But would you say that's the measure of success?
In fact, as you said, I was the first regional vice president for the global region.
Hmm.
Now we call it as a Region 9.
Yep.
And before that, I was a administrator for the international practice specialty before the global region. So we used to have a country representatives, and during that time, we appointed a country representative of 32 countries in under the IPS. We used to call international practice specialty
Hmm.
under that umbrella. So our idea was that was one of the success factor, I can say. Those 32 countries representatives are always available for any support from these countries, any HSE issues, HSE regulations, HSE networking, the employment opportunities in those countries. That was a wonderful program. I worked closely with the Mr. Jack Fearing. He was one of the
Hmm.
administrator before me. We sown the seeds, and that has become a truly international. Now that practice specialty is called as a global operations practice specialty, and there are so many global leaders outside US are taking those positions. I was the first regional vice president, I was the first administrator, but I paved the way for those people, and many global people are coming to the international, particularly in the BCSP, particularly in the ASSP. They are taking the roles as the regional vice presidents or the area directors, but the roadmap was laid by me. I also feel that is one of the success story, I can say, that we have really sown the seeds, and those seeds are growing and giving the real fruits nowadays. Yes, James.
This is great. This is great. Now, real quick, if you don't mind, I'm going to deviate just a little bit in our
Yeah,
discussion here.
yeah,
You
yeah.
talked about laying the roadmap, and I think that's actually the key.
Mhm.
What are, maybe if you could summarize maybe one or two major components that actually allowed you to reach across countries and time zones and cultures to really develop that and get that roadmap going? And the reason why I bring that up
Mhm.
is we as safety professionals that work more in a global economy,
Yeah.
have the same kinds of challenges that we come
Mhm.
across. But you've been very successful at that. What would you say, kind of went that way? What was it that got you there? That roadmap, obviously. How? What are some of the components that you put into that to really help? Because mentorship is only so much, right?
Exactly, exactly. In fact, when I said think globally and act locally, the
Hmm.
international practice specialty those days has really proven that. We have a 32 countries representatives. We used to have advisory council, advisory committee calls, conference calls,
Uh-huh.
and somebody in Australia, somebody in US. The time difference, and that guy will be attending at 12 o'clock midnight. This guy will be attending the evening. So much of time differences, but still we could manage with the use of technology. The main purpose of these advisory committee calls were the best practices. What's
Uh-huh.
happening? We used to just share one of the challenge being faced in Kuwait or in India or in New Zealand, wherever it is. Then other people come up with this is the way we are doing the things, and these are the best practices. So we used to have a wonderful magazine called the World Focus. That was
Ah,
truly a real good magazine, electronic magazine. Originally, it was a printed version. Then we changed it to the electronic version. That was a wonderful magazine, I can say, that it used to share a lot of best practices from different parts of the world, particularly these 32 countries. And people used to love it, actually. So that was a
ah.
wonderful, with the concept of the world focus. Again, there used to be an administrator message. There used to be some of the best practices. There used to be some of the technological developments. That was a wonderful sharing of the technology, sharing of the best practices we did under the global operations practice specialty. But the same thing continued when I took over as a regional vice president as a Region
Uh-huh.
9. We had 10 chapters in different parts of the world. I used to have the flash reports as well as the quarterly conference calls. We used to share the best practices from all these people, what each chapter is doing, how can Nigerian chapter can do it. There are so many good practices being done in Kuwait chapter. Our idea is to share those best practices. So those
Gotcha.
quarterly conference calls, we did it, and wonderful sharing of the information. We have done it, so it was a real good thing, James. Yes,
That's
I
great.
established a platform actually. Now many players are there on the platform.
And I think that's a good point. Establishing
Yeah,
that platform, coming
yeah,
out
yeah,
to a common goal, setting up that infrastructure of communication with information, and
mhm,
then being able to allow people to
yeah,
implement that in their local area, report back, share challenges, but share successes, because that's
yeah.
really what builds the success is sharing the
Certainly.
successes, using the challenges as opportunities to improve. But the
Yeah.
successes really drive everything forward. All right, Ashok. Hey,
Good,
thank you
good.
very much for being on today. We really appreciate it. Definitely enjoy the conversations with you as always.
One thing I just want to focus here.
Yes.
I have been working from different companies, but the support from my employers has been great for
Ah,
participation in these professional societies. They always know that Ashok is doing in that area, but he's also bringing so many things to the I mean, our company. That way I used to get a good support from my team leaders, my managers, and that really moves forward. In fact, if you have obstacles, that we will never move forward. But they used to encourage Ashok, go ahead and showcase our best practices and bring some more best practices. So that was the thinking of our management. So that way I could really make the things happen. Actually, yes.
oh, that's great. Okay, so was there any particular success point that you would say something where you did an outreach to your leaders, to the people who are
Yeah,
leading the
yeah.
organization that got them engaged into that point to have an interest?
In fact, one thing I want to tell you that in our operations, we have a 75 plus nationalities working in our company from all
Ah,
over the world. About 50,000 staff members from different parts of the world,
uh-huh.
different culture set, different education set, everything is different. Our challenges are huge back in 2008 and those days. Our LTI rates are very high, but we brought the best practices. We engaged these diverse workforce. I was a diversity committee chair of the ASSP also. That also really helped me in engaging those, with those diverse workforces. And we
Gotcha.
introduced several best practices, several techniques how to engage these people. We used to have a different work cultures in the one shift and other things, so that they will mingle each other, they will learn from each other. Some of the things we have done, really many things we have done now. Our last work day case frequency has come down drastically, in fact. So our management is extremely happy with our participation in these organizations, and we are moving forward. Actually, even during COVID period, we did a good workshops. Our team leader also participated in the workshop with the IPS, in fact, with the Singapore as well as from US. So we did a workshop on the COVID-19 management, understand how Singapore is managing, how Kuwait is managing, how US is managing. Some of the best practices we brought under this pandemic time also. So that's why our management really supports us, actually. Yes,
That's great. And they see that value come out in their organization, that performance as well.
exactly, exactly. Yes.
Ashok, thank you very much for being on. Greatly appreciate it. Look forward to having you back.
It's too early in the morning for you, but you made it happen. Yes.
We both did. It takes us
Exactly.
both, Ashok, and it takes Bianca, as those of us who remember
Thank you,
our
Bianca.
client-side chats with Bianca. So that's great.
Exactly.
So
Thank you.
thanks, Ashok.
Good night and good day to you. Yes.
Take care.
Thank you. Namaskar.